Thank you very, very much for inviting us. We love coming here. We love coming to these events because we get the best questions. As you said, we want this to be a fun session, and you know, there are no questions that you can ask us that would be inappropriate to ask. So please just go ahead and do. I'm going to share my screen. We've got some slides for you. You might be a little bit sick of it. We've also got some Menti ourselves, so I will be sharing the link
Go
to that
for
at
it.
the moment. So let me just share my screen. We're going to swap between Andy and me. I'm going to be slide content. Andy's going to be demo man today, as well as Menti man. He gets all the guest call jobs, etc. So hello everybody who hasn't had the delight of meeting me and Andy. I'm Sarah Blundell. I'm the lead for data and analytical development here in NHS England, leading on the work stream, the professionalisation of data and analytics work stream. And Andy, do you want to introduce yourself?
You waited until taking a mouthful of coffee.
Yeah, I did.
My name's
On
Andy
purpose.
Lavelle. I am the Senior Manager for Analytical Professionalisation working at NHS England.
Fabulous. Thank you, Andy. So what on earth is this work stream? So just as a quick recap for anyone who hasn't heard about what we're doing and why we're doing it, we're trying to basically turn health and care to be recognised as one of the best places to work as a data professional. Andy and I are long serving both NHS and working in local authority in public health people. We've been doing it for a very long time, but we've had to basically create our own careers, and we want to try and change that to professionalize what we do within our workforce and create something that's really vibrant, data focused within the wider workforce. Now, we know that can only be achieved if we work collaboratively. There are about 13,000 of us across the UK working in data and analytics within the health and care setting. And only by working together to standardize, who we are, what we do, and how we develop, can we actually really start to make any form of progress, of raising our profile, both within our own sector, making people aware that we are here, we are professionals, and our advice should be listened to. We should have a seat at the table, but also raising the fact that there is a very vibrant data culture and profession within health and care to people that work in broader data professional roles, because you think of health and care and you think of social workers and you think of doctors and you think of nurses. You don't think of, I'm going to be a data analyst or a data engineer or a data scientist, but there are lots of us. We're obviously part of a much broader initiative with a data family. So as I say, at the moment, we're looking after data analysts, data scientists, data engineers, expanding in the future to look after data governance as well as data ethics leads. But there are other colleagues who are then looking after the other digital and technology professions, etc. With a vanguard there, we're a bit ahead of them, but they are catching up, etc. So we started work a few years ago on a National Competency Framework. So this is just a quick recap. National Competency Framework is a way for us to standardise language and definitions of what we think of our skills are across the system, streamlining career paths and recruitment. That's the whole purpose of it. It's the foundation from which we build on. It's the foundation from which we use to baseline our skills, to identify where good practice is happening, making it much more easy to recognise where we've got skills in certain areas and where we've got gaps in others. It gives us a way to baseline where we are with our skill levels and a way to identify where we want to get to and a plan to get from A to B. It won't do partnership working, but it should make it easier for partnership working because we're using the same language. We've got a way to be able to compare skills between organisations and start identifying then what are commonalities around rotations and placements and all these types of things. But it also acts as a spine to which we can work with training providers to get them to map what they are doing to a consistent benchmark. So we can make it much easier to go from, I've identified this skill that I need to do from a training and development perspective, through to, and then here's a range of different options I can get on with from a training and CPD to plug that gap, to make it much easier for people to go from to do CPD rather than spend their time looking for the right CPD, going on it and then going, well, that wasn't quite what I wanted. We want to avoid that. We don't have enough time or money to be able to waste any of it. So we're going to have a quick Menti now. I've put the QR code here. I'm sure Andy could put the link in the chat if he needed to, etc. But as you say, you're already on Menti, so the code is 3158-7593. So I'm going to let Andy take over now because he's driving.
Yeah, I've not got a license, but right, I'm trying to share my screen. And now I've lost all you lot.
Yeah, we're here.
So hopefully you can see that. So question number 1, do you feel creating a professionalized data and analytics workforce in health and social care is important?
Fortunately, most people are saying yes.
That's good.
Our purpose for being is validated.
I've got 13 votes and 63 people on the
Oh,
it's going up. It's going up.
yeah. Fantastic. We should have had a I'm not sure category probably.
Yeah, I did think, well, now just get people to make a decision one way or the other.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it took me like 2 minutes to get in there because why? I don't know. Maybe I need training and going between different Menti screens.
Yeah, I'm going to put
lacking.
I'm going to put the link for it in the chat, so just in case anyone can then get the direct link for going in.
We've got one now.
Ah, it's fair enough. We can't please everyone.
We're
Everyone's
a broad church.
We are.
I'll just give it a couple more seconds for anyone else that's not got the link yet. Should have done one of those clever countdown things like Rachel does. But I'll work on that.
Boom. There we go.
Okay, so the next question is one where you get to rank in order then. What do you think the key benefits of being professionalised are? And the other bit at the end, you will get a chance to, on the next slide, put any other benefits that you think there may be, or any reasons why you think it's a complete waste of time.
I love it when they move around. That's my favourite part of a Menti. But then I like animation, as we know, don't we? Oh, oh, it's like which one? Oh, I'll give it a few more seconds, Andy.
I'm just watching the number of people that are taking part. Sorry, I should be doing the ad-libbing like you and Rachel do. So I should be commentating like it's in a horse race. And said maintains in high standards in the lead, but coming close to the abstracted career path.
Have we got a faller?
Yeah.
How do you do the reactions? I don't get to do this. This is just so much fun. Me fine. That wasn't me. So
talking of fallers, I had my bet on the Grand National last weekend, and I thought, yes, the favourite, yes, he's going to do it, and then he unseated his rider at the first fence.
Do you know what? I don't blame him. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this either.
I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so we've got sets and maintains high standard structured career path, job role consistency, protected learning time. So the next one is just if there are any other benefits that you can think of that getting professionalisation within our workforce will bring. And then once we've done this, I shall hand back to Sarah.
Thank you. Oh, you did? No, well done. 50 quid's not to be sniffed at, is it?
Yeah, I started off with I managed to the art in betting of taking an amount of money and then reducing it by half very quickly.
Nice.
Well done.
Collaboration, yep. Understanding, respect, accountability. Increases.
I think people should put in the chat what's the most they've ever won on a horse race. Mine was 120. I was quite pleased with that one. Was it York races?
I think recognition's kind of standing out big in the middle, and yeah, certainly that's the the thing. My aim is to hear an analyst one day stand up in a board meeting and go, "In my professional opinion."
Yes, that's what we want, and it being listened to.
I
Yeah.
say that anyway.
I love
I don't
it.
need this.
You don't need this. You're already there.
In
You've
my,
already
in
got
fact,
the
you got the
respect.
tone wrong. It's like, in my professional opinion.
It's
This
empowering
is a
every
terrible
analyst with
idea.
that confidence that you've got, Rachel. So that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So
Fantastic.
the recognition, pay, respect. Yeah, some great things that are there. So we'll leave that to, if anyone else has got any comments, put them in. But back to Sarah.
Fantastic. I'm just going to go back and share my lovely slides. So I hope they are working. So the good question is, what the hell have we been up to since we launched? Well, actually, we've been really, really busy. So we launched the National Competency Framework version 1 in October of last year. During November, we got out and about to visit people through our regional launch events that were on at the beginning to mid of November, and it was fantastic. Thanks to everyone who came to those sessions. We got a lot out of them. We've obviously been building a library of National Competency Framework resources on tools on the Analysts community, and these were in response to a lot of the asks that came out from those regional events, etc. So there's a load of media material on there. Andy Lavelle does some fantastic videos. There is also a load of guidance contact. There's some updates from our early adopter sites, etc., as well as then a few Excel tools to help you get started. And Andy's going to demo some of those later. We've been obviously promoting and helping organisations start their adoption journey. So we've got over 40 organisations now across England and Wales. Public Health Wales are adopting the framework, which is fantastic, who've started their adoption journeys with us since January. We set up fortnightly new adopters introduction calls. Now these are calls that you can actually just add yourself on. We make all the details for them accessible via our events page on Analytics. And we also have fortnightly then adopters support network calls, where the standing invitation to all of our organisations that are on their adoption journey to come along to hear from us on any of the new stuff that we're putting out, but also a way for them to, we call them the agony aunt questions. I'm having challenges, I'm having this, etc. But also to showcase successes that they might be having. We've actually got a working group who is pulling together different reps from different organisations who have moved on to the point where they want to standardise their job descriptions. So they're currently working on standardising a example job description for a Band 5 and a Band 6 analyst, with the idea is that then gets taken back and put through different panels in different organisations just to make sure that it will get through at the right grade in a trust, in an ICB, in NHS England, for example. So there's some consistency there. So we then will be able to make those available through the library of resources. We've been a podcast series. We've launched a new podcast series. Well, we've launched it as in we've been recording it. These are called Fika Bites as a spin-off from the Analyst X Fika series. And these have been capturing people's experiences with the adoption, and some of the early people that were involved in the development, like what was the purpose, all these types of things. And we're moving on to the planning for series 2 of that. The new stuff should be released soon. We keep being promised in the next week or so. So we will make those links all available on Analytics, but there'll be a series of 8 to 10 minute podcasts, short, snappy ones that you can then use to have in your team meetings, etc., or maybe listen to in the car as you drive to work. We've been shortlisted for a HSJ Digital Award, which is fantastic. We're delighted. We are presenting to the judging panel on the 29th of April, so hopefully we will win. And this is for education and upskilling and digital and data literacy. And we've got new people. In our team has grown, so we now have Josh, Harveen and Neil have joined us in dribs and drabs, basically from January and March onwards. So you will get to meet them on new adopters calls and other activities throughout the year. Now, obviously, we're really keen to support people on getting started with the NCF. So we've basically pulled together like a 5-step getting started plan, just for people that are going, what do I need to have for prerequisites? What do I really need to have in place? And what are the first things I can do when getting started with the use of the competency framework? And these are obviously three C's that we basically think of as the prerequisites for getting things started. You're getting a case for change, a compelling vision about what you're wanting to achieve, and then having a communications plan in place of how you're going to tackle your senior stakeholders, how you're going to introduce things into your team, etc. Then moving on to getting the first step done, which is the assessments across the team, and then looking at how you will do some baselining. This is from a management perspective. So we're just going to take you through those 5 steps in a little bit more detail, and Andy's then going to do some fantastic demoing to go alongside step 4 and 5. So the case for change is really simple. We've produced a case for change template, and we've given you an example populated template as part of the work in the library of resources. And this is a place to capture in one place why you might want to adopt the National Competency Framework. And this then becomes your crib sheet that you then go back to be able to craft different communications for different audiences. So what's the current problem that we're trying to solve, and how did we get here? So that might be particular issues that you have around recruitment, around retention, around asks you're getting in and not having the skills in team, etc. There could be a myriad of reasons as to what your current problems are. Then looking at, why what we're doing currently isn't working, what opportunities are being missed, and that might be, oh, well, there's some really cool stuff that we'd love to be able to do in-house, bespoke, but actually because we just don't have capacity to do it, don't have the skills to do it, it's getting farmed out to those damned consultancy people. They're going to do all the cool stuff and we want to do it, and it's wasting NHS money, and we should be having that skills and information in-house, etc. Potentially, what's the risk of not taking action, and then the benefits of. So as I said, we've populated a version of this with our national case for change, including some of the cash releasing stuff that we've obviously calculated as part of the national business case for some of this work, that you can obviously take and use and craft your own, etc., just to make it easy for people. Now, stage 2 as a prerequisite is getting that visioning. Like, if we already know, if we've got a case for change of why we want to change something, what do we want to change it to? And this is very much around what's that vision. And it might be that your team and your organization already has like a really clear vision of where you want to go to. So how does that turn into a data and analytics vision, etc.? What's that set direction of travel that you want to do? Obviously, we want to make it as easy as possible for you to craft a vision. And unsurprisingly enough, when you look between multiple organizations doing this, there's lots of variations on a theme. So there's generally things around supporting, making sure people are having the best experience for their career, supporting career progression, all these types of things, but with maybe a slightly different wording between organizations. So to make it easier for you, we've got a step-by-step process of how you can follow. There's a 2.5-hour workshop that you can do in your teams, but we've also made the example vision statements from all of our early adopter sites available. So actually what you could just do is, build a bear. Take all the different parts from those different things, see the bits that work together, come up with the draft, and then run that through people in your team. I'm not saying you should shortcut it that way, but I'm saying you could do if you wanted to draft something. And then lastly, coming up with a bit of a plan. So taking that case for change, taking that visioning and going, right, actually, how are we then going to communicate this out? Because we know from the work from our early adopter sites that it's not just about the individuals within the data and analytics team. It's about being able to protect the time that you need in order to do like the assessments properly, think about the training and development that you want to do, and then actually have time to do the CPD. So being able to take that stuff from the case for change and communicate it out to the groups that you need to have, to your director of finance, to your HR person, if you're wanting to standardize job descriptions, get them in early, etc. So we've provided a template on that, as well as then a massive library of resources, because we don't expect you guys to be an expert on the National Competency Framework. That's what we're here for. So there are introduction videos to the to the method and how it's been created. Similarly, there are introduction videos for the tools. We've tried to make it as easy as possible, providing slide packs, and also then the podcasts going forward. They will be a great thing to drip feed into team meetings going forward. And he's looking so excited because it's almost demo time. Now moving on to step 4. So step 4 is like, right, so we've done our 3 C's, we've got those things in place, but what's the first thing we actually do with the framework itself? Well, the first starting point is the self-assessment tool. It's the entry, that's the gateway drug of the competency framework. Now, and this can be used in 2 ways, one of which is for individuals to self-assess their own and baseline their own skill levels, and then for managers to basically profile a role. And Andy will show you this in a minute. And then the idea is going from a, yes, this is where I think I am from a competency level, all the way through to then going, right, now how do I evidence that? So what we've got is we've now got an evidence portfolio that people can take the data extract from the self-assessment, plug up to 3 of them in at the moment, and then start logging. Like, what's the evidence that I've got? What are the examples that I've got that prove that I can do this? And then being able to take that evidence portfolio into your personal development conversations with your manager, where you've then identified, right, am I happy? Yeah, you're happy that I'm saying I'm competent at all of these things and I've got valid evidence to back it up. Yes, fantastic. Then we know we've got that one in the bag. But then also identifying areas where you've targeted stuff and using that as part of the conversation as, is this something that is also an organizational priority for your development, in which case, how do we then move on to getting involved in the training? Andy, would you like to demo the self-assessment tool?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of.
Window am I doing? That hopefully you can see the window there. So yes. This is what you get to see when you are on Analysts. So just to kind of reiterate what Sarah's been saying, so this is the assessment tool that you can open and download and use on your own computer. There's the evidence tool, got the management Excel tool, and also that's the library of resources that you can go in. Lots of other stuff that you've got on there, so being on that Analysts page is a really great way of keeping up to date with what's going on and getting access to all the various information. So now I have to stop sharing that. I have to share. Now I have to move on that one there. I need more screens.
Rachel.
That's what I need.
Come and ask a question.
Yeah, I don't want to interrupt, Andy. However, I just wanted to clarify that NHS Future is health and care. So you just have to say, you just click on the button and say, please may I join this workspace, and they will invariably say it's not just for NHSP, because I know there's a little bit of confusion. Many moons ago it was just NHS, but now it's for everybody. And so we will no doubt share the link.
I am literally about to put it in the chat.
Yeah, so and I do know that some people can't see the chat, so I will share it.
I can't see the chat
as well. I know you can't see the chat. It's just for special people. I know.
Yeah,
I take that back. I will share it with everybody, because I was just trying to insult Andy. However, I have insulted lots of people.
Why change the habit of a lifetime, Rachel?
I know.
25 years you've been doing it.
I don't say that. 5, surely.
5 years, yes, surely. So this is the self-assessment tool when you download it. And what you can do is you go across, you can see you've got the tabs for data analyst, data science, data engineer, specialisms, behaviours, leadership and management, and working in projects. And what you do is you go in and you work out where you think roughly you are on the scale here, and then you start to go through. You start to put yes if it's a skill that you think that you can do. And I'll just complete this bit here. Here's one I made earlier. So yes, Sarah's done the formatting, so it turns there. Yes, I'm adaptable. The next one, I want to put a T because I want to target that, and I'll put a T for the last one there. So yes is that you're competent. T is that you want to target that for something that you want to develop and build up in your training. Now, I'm aware, having worked a long time in analytics, very few people will go, yes, I'm a perfect data analyst. So look at the data science tab, look at the data engineer tab, because there'll be bits on those frameworks as well that you do, that you've got experience of, that maybe you're having to do in your role, because it's a hybrid type of role where you're doing some stuff within the SQL Server warehouse and some stuff elsewhere, or doing some of the more data analytics, data science type work. Look at the specialisms, do the same thing for the specialisms, if there are things that you do, if there are things that you target, the behaviors that you want to be that you can demonstrate that you can do within the role, if you do stuff on leadership and management, and if you do stuff on working in projects. So basically working across all 7 of those tabs at the level where you think that you're working, put in yeses. There could be bits where you kind of the next level up that you want to kind of put, I've started to do something on that, or that's something that I'm targeting to do. Then what you would do is you would go down to your personal profile. And this then gives you your, as I refer to it, your analytical DNA. So you've got the spider charts here that show you roughly how you're scoring on the competencies. You've got, I'm a 65% analyst, 26% scientist, 9% data engineer. Put down all the bits there. And then what you've got here as well below is the list of the skills that you're achieving. So that's what you would then copy into the evidence portfolio tab that Sarah was saying about. And then the things that you're targeting. So these are the things that you can start to discuss with your line manager at PDPs, or start to be working out how you're going to develop some of these skills. It's important to say not all the skills will be things that you're going to be taught. It could be things that you're sort of, build. You might have to be shadowing somebody as you're going along a course, or it could be that there's other ways that you're building up that knowledge and learning. Now, one of the things that you can do, will this work if I tab screens? Let's see. So one of the things that you might want to do, and I noticed there's a few people from mids and lanks on, which is great, because one of the things they said is, well, it's great to get these individual things, but as a manager, how can I then start to use that information to build up what my team's like? So Sarah's done this fantastic management tool. Within each of the within that version of this spreadsheet that we're looking at, where you do self-assessment, there's a data extract tab. What you would do is copy the data and paste it in for each member of staff that you've got, and this runs up to 20 members of staff. So you put that information in there, and then you've got at a glance information that you've got around what people's competences and skills are. Sarah's looking at me going, that's not a demo version, that's just a blank version.
That's what I am thinking.
Yeah, but he didn't send me the right version.
It is on the team stuff, mate.
So that's what you can do to go on and get your overview of what what your team's looking like, where you've got strengths of the team, where you've got areas that you might want to focus on. If you're doing a particular project, who you might want to be bringing in because they've got a particular skill set that you want to do. The only other bit just to say around the evidence portfolio is it's useful for those PDP conversations and, kind of demonstrating that you are able to do it. But if you go for any of the bodies that award a professional accreditation, whether that's AphA, whether that's Royal Stats Society, Alliance for Data Science Professionals, the first thing they will be wanting to ask you is, what's your evidence portfolio? So that also supports your progression to going for professional accreditation with any of those organisations. And it's also, should you ever want to move job, it's also something that's useful to have as a kind of reference sheet when you're there, and somebody says, can you give me an example of when you've done this? And if you've had a long NHS career like me, you've forgotten half of it. So it's a useful kind of memory jogger for things that you've done, and ways that you can demonstrate your competency and how you've done stuff. But all those are available on the Analyst X professionalisation page. Download them, have a go. If you've got any questions, let us know. We've got user guides as well, and we're also working at the moment on an easy view overview of the whole competency framework, so that people can get to see what's in there and what they need to be doing. And I'll stop sharing now and hand back to Sarah.
Thank you, Andy. Next time, demo versions of everything, okay? So as I said, in the self-assessment, there is a data extract tab. That's where you would take the same data extract that you would put into the evidence tool. You can take up to 3 different assessments and put them in, and it will always it'll pull back the competencies as when you've first listed them. So you're not going to lose things that you've done historically. If you then have done something at a more senior level, it will pull all of that stuff through. Number 5. Andy has already stolen my thunder with this one, but that's not a problem from a baselining perspective. And this is where you would then look at things from a management perspective, using the framework, because there are things that we're interested in monitoring. We're interested in monitoring how people feel about the adoption of the framework. What's your current skill mix across your team, and are there commonalities in the skills people have identified? So the pictures there are populated versions of Andy's slides that he just, the demo that he just showed you, so you can look across your team, etc. But there is also another way that you can baseline, and that's that how people are feeling about things. So you've done your quantitative stuff. So the NHS BSA are an absolute treasure of adopters, and they have created a survey that you're able to tweak and circulate in your team. It's available on the library of resources. I'm going to quickly swap what I am sharing and show you. She says if teams will cooperate. Share the other one again, all available on the lovely Analytics under the library of resources. It's under tools. All of the spreadsheets that Andy's talked about are also in there under tools, etc. So you need to go in and obviously edit it for your own business structure. So they've obviously got things here around their roles, their service areas, their banding, but then looking again some of these sorts of things, because what they're intending to do is they've done this survey from a baseline perspective to understand at the very start of the process where people are from awareness and how they're feeling about things, and then tracking through time basically to see after 6 months, after a year, where people are, etc. So that's a useful tool if you're wanting to you've got a bigger team and you want to sort of check those types of things out. As Andy mentioned, loads of cool content for you to look at and baseline. Okay, so you've done your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fantastic. That sounds great. How do I sign up? So obviously go back to your teams and talk about it. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You'll get to see Andy's fantastic videos if you do. He does lots of think pieces, not often with slow walking towards the camera, with his microphone, etc. It's very well done, etc. So follow us on LinkedIn so you don't miss out on any of the updates of what we're up to. Once you've had that conversation in your team, you can get in touch with us easy as pie. We've got a pledge page, so you can sign up on forms and put your contact information there. And what then will happen is you'll be then invited to the next new adopters intro call, which we have fortnightly, as I've mentioned. They're on at lunchtime, so we've got one today, straight after this call. It's very timely, from 12 till 1, and then the induction into the adopters network, basically. It is quite straightforward from our perspective. We just want to keep people on a consistent approach. Obviously, you can check out all the content on Analytics. You don't need our help if you want to do that on an individual basis, etc. So we're just going to go back to our mentee, Andy, for our last couple of questions, just to sort of see how this has landed with you. Thank you, Andy.
Hopefully everyone can see the screen there. So the next question for you: how likely in the next 6 months are you to begin adopting the National Competency Framework? Options: very likely, maybe, no current plans to, only when it's mandatory, over my dead body, and it's not up to me.
Well, if you will put that option.
We thought it was a fun one. We thought, why not?
Yeah, I don't mean that. I want to retract that.
It's fine.
No, it's too late now.
Yours.
It's there forever.
No. I know you don't know it was me. It could have been anyone, actually.
It could have been.
Come to think of it.
It could have been. Yeah, we wanted to give people the option as well of being able to say, I'd like to, but it's not my decision, because ultimately, yeah, we know obviously these things have to go back and have conversations in teams. But for those 12 people that have put that, it would be really great if you can go back and have the conversations with your line managers, 13 people, your team leads, and say, have you heard about this thing called the National Competency Framework? It'd be really good if maybe you had a chat with the guys, listened to the recording, etc., or went on joined Analysts and had a look at some of the historic stuff. We've had that from the new NHS engineering community that's been set up under Analysts. We've had a load of follow-ups from that, of managers going, we're not sure what this is, but my team would like us to adopt it. So
I think one of the other things as well, as you were talking about the podcast before, one of the things that we're looking to do in series 2 is to start to get to, because we're aware that some people are in teams where maybe they don't have, they might have a finance director that's their head honcho. So it's about how do we start to get other finance directors who are supportive of the framework to come on and say, this is why I believe that it's worthwhile doing the competency framework, and build a resource of those as well, so that if your finance director is saying, well, I'm not sure, go and have a listen to that podcast where so and so is talking about why they felt it's a good idea to do.
So can I just jump? I was going to jump in because there's a couple of questions which have been put on the other mentee.
Yep.
And just linked to that, somebody did say, what happens if your senior analytical leaders don't have any interest in this? They know about it, but they don't have any interest. So how do you, there's a whole range of scenarios, aren't there, that people will be
absolutely
up against. So so it could be like, you're not in an analytics team, but it could just be that you don't really have anyone to talk to about this, but you kind of know it's important to you personally. So what do you do then?
So there's absolutely nothing stopping you as an individual of downloading the tools, doing your own self-assessment and using it to plot your own career progression. And because ultimately this is about empowering people to, when you're going into your personal development conversations and these types of things, having an idea about what you actually want to be saying from a skills perspective. So even if your organization's not adopting it, you can still use it to help guide you of what are the skills you need to do to get to these other things. And ultimately, as I said, we're using the framework to map to options for training. So then there'll be a development framework. So you'll then be able to use it yourself to go, right, what can I do from a free development perspective? What's going to be available to me that way?
And one of the things that we're working on is building up that portfolio of how the evidence links, and certainly we'll be working with the Midlands Decision Support Network to go actually with the courses and the resources that you're running, if we can map them so that if somebody's saying, well, actually I want to develop this and it's available within the Midlands network, then that would be a great course for me to go on to as well. But it's been very much designed from the baseline up of developing personally as an analyst and understanding where you want to go, to then how you could use that as a manager to build your team, how we use it as a system. Your chief analytical officers may want to be using this to kind of get that understanding across whole systems, and then how we sort of use that to promote the whole workforce and move towards professionalisation. But there's nothing to stop you just using this as a career, to plot your pathway to getting professional registration with AphA for, a particular practitioner level. So there's stuff that you can use it for, and then hopefully it'd be useful to know, if you're having issues, and then we can see if there's ways that we can do. We're trying to build a kind of network within each region of all those people that are involved in the sort of development of analytical staff, so that we can share those sorts of conversations and, pick up if there's areas where we're not quite getting uptake that we thought. I'll move on to the last question.
Just while you're moving on to no, just while you're moving, there are one or two other questions we maybe not have time to get to them, but I will share them with you afterwards if we don't. So I'm just thinking, just at that point about if you feel you might feel a bit isolated in your organization, and that's I think that can be quite common actually, and it can be quite common that you understand as an analyst this much better than your line manager, who may not be have the same sort of language or understanding of what your role is or could be, and what it is that you need. So I think this is I think it's probably useful excuse me, to remember that as well.
There was a mantra that I had when we were going around doing our regional workshops that came up, which is very much you're not alone. So there are analysts that will be sat, in organisations who are trying to crack the same puzzle in Northumbria as someone's trying to crack in Newquay. And actually, Analyst X is a fantastic way of networking people into to build those communities and get people to be having those dialogues. And certainly as well with the Adopters Network, we're doing that. Just seen someone there going that they don't fit the groups, which once again, so it'd be interesting to know whether that's because you don't fit, you're doing an analytical role, but it doesn't fall into one of those groups there, or whether you're doing something that's wider within the DDAT family. I'm aware that the myriad of job titles that you can get if you work within analytics at the moment within the NHS, and the job roles that we've got are the ones that are kind of on the government DDAT framework, and it's about how we link those to go. But yeah, it's understanding that hybrid nature of the way that people work, and if there are bits that are beyond what we've currently got on the bits that are there, structures don't fit as well. It's interesting.
Serious scrutiny. Oh, yeah. No, I can understand. Some people are going, and I from that perspective of, what if when I baseline my skills, I'm not meeting the standard that is required for this job.
Mm.
And I think there's a difference between job profiling and individual skill profiling. You've obviously been hired to do a job and you're doing it, and unless you're under performance management, there is a big difference between what a job description asks and actually we know what a job is actually doing and what skills people bring in. I've got 19 years worth of experience and he's on 34, and I've got some skills that I've only gone up to a lower practitioner level because I only needed to learn them to that stage. And there'll be other things that I'm actually probably demonstrating those skills at a much higher level than would be an 8B, an 8A, or an 8C, or whatever level. So it is very much about being able to use this to have an honest conversation with yourself and really identify where your gaps and areas for development are. It isn't meant to be used as a right, we're now going to use this as a performance measure tool, because it is about, unless you do this as honest as possible, you're never going to get the benefits out of it. But it's not used from the perspective of, right, now I'm going to hold you to account on this. It is very much around, how do we then identify where we need to go, what gaps we need to fill, these types of things.
I'm just looking at some of the answers that are here. The person that's put JD's not matching this, come along on Tuesday 11:30. The link's on Analyst X to our JD working group, because what we're trying to do at the minute there is to get something that reflects the language that's in the framework. Because when you interview people, you're trying to interview for their skills, and if we can link those skills to the framework, that would be great. Slow pace of change. Read that great blog that I did on LinkedIn the other day about sitting under a tree, because it will take a long time to get to a fully professionalized data workforce, but there's a lot of stuff that we can be doing right now to be moving us towards that, and certainly at least to be personally developing your career. And the one that kind of makes me a bit sad is the one that says someone saying not feeling valued in their organisation. But I just want, as I say, Sarah's alluded to the fact I've done 34 years in the NHS, and all that's been in working in analytics. And I'm proud to be an NHS analyst, and I want everyone that's there to feel that you are never just doing something. You're doing highly technical, skilled, fantastic insights, and it's about building you to be able to go on and be, the most dynamic analyst that you can be,
Or
supporting
engineer,
you, or engineer, or scientist, or hybrid, or governance manager, or ethicist.
Yes.
Which leads us on, Sarah, to your very last slide, because it's nearly time.
Yeah, it is. And I apologize for running on. So we'll share obviously share the slides and everything, make everything available. Coming forward, obviously, we're not sitting on our laurels. We are very much working on obviously promoting and get more adoption, but the framework doesn't stand still. The framework has to change, because it has to reflect the changing nature of our work. So this year we will be expanding the framework to include 2 new areas for data, the data family, one of which is data governance. People sitting in those areas, data governance managers, they come under the data family, and also data ethics. So again, I haven't as yet met a data ethicist in health and care, but we're expecting, as we do more and more AI roles, etc., or machine learning, or these types of areas, that at least might become a part of someone's job. We'll also be opening up the framework for changes for the existing content. We'll be adding in leadership and management responsibilities at more junior level. And this is to reflect that the graduate management training system wants to use the National Competency Framework for the health informatics graduates competencies, which is fantastic. That will bring that alignment in. And we're also going to be looking at expanding the framework to have a data literacy for non-data and analytics professionals, sort of the level 0, as it were, for this. So there's opportunities for people to get involved. We'll obviously be promoting that throughout the coming months, etc. But the work itself will probably be happening in September onwards.
Fantastic.
And obviously, I'm just going to quickly share the last slide, as Andy said, because that's got all our contact information on.
Which I can share afterwards as well.
There we
So
go.
if I do a follow-up email as well, I can share the links. And look at those lovely pictures. You look so happy. Look at Andy. He always looks so happy.
He does.
Okay, so we have got like just a couple of minutes left, and there are a few questions that people have been asking on the other Menti. So so thank you ever so much for everything that you've shared so far. There's also a question or a comment in the chat which you may not be able to see, which is saying they would like to bring it to their team, and do you have a 2-page slide sort of as an intro? I know you've got different resources, a range of resources, including podcasts and dodgy videos and things like that. But I don't know, but I couldn't say this is the thing that you might need to just give a little bit of a summary. So it's like that you can imagine a team meeting. This is on the agenda. What do you think about this? This will give you all you need to know. So I don't know whether you can direct us to that, or I can include a link to that specifically on the Analytics site or whatever.
Yeah, we do obviously have an intro presentation. It's
Yep.
not 2 slides though. It's about 6.
I think that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay.
But that covers like method and how we got here and etc. So.
And there's also the framework in 5 minutes video.
Oh yes, the framework in 5 minutes video.
That sounds good. That sounds good. And that might break up their team meeting, because if you can, instead of having to read something else, you can watch the video. So it's, as long as it's not Andy, obviously, doing the video.
It is.
Oh,
he's much better than me.
No, he's brilliant. You are brilliant, Andy. I'm only joking, obviously. I watch all of your LinkedIn videos. I go to my husband who knows you. Oh, look, here he is again. No, they're very good. Please share the video, someone saying. So I've shared my screen, and we will do. So I'll do that. I'll share some resources after the meeting, just to keep this going. Okay, so a couple of things in the chat that we're not going to have chance to go through. I've mentioned one already, so I know it's annoying when I flick through and you're starting to read something and I move it on. So the things that we've talked about is like, how do you get your manager to take this seriously? Mentioned it after probably the last huddle in September, and they no interest. So there is something about making it relevant. Yes, there is something about you don't need for them to be interested in order for you to take full advantage of this for your own development. However, if you do want your manager to see it as relevant and important, particularly when you might be highlighting areas which you want to talk about in your PDP sessions and subsequent sort of training to maybe fill some gaps and things like that. So that I can see that as being very relevant. Are you linking
just picking up on one of the questions there, Rachel, that links to that one and the other one. So yes, we are linking in with AphA. We're also linking in with the Royal Stats Society, Alliance for Data Science Professionals. We're meeting with the Alan Turing Institute this afternoon, heavily discussing with Mark Farr and the Chief Analytical Officers network that is now got set up. Yeah, we're trying to engage with as many people as possible to kind of support the professionalisation agenda.
So you're linking it all together. I know we've had these conversations before, because people worry about, well, there's this, but this is also colour national something. This is also happening, and here we have the intelligence functions. How does it link with all of those sort of the competencies associated with that, and those kind of things? So you're doing the work to link it all all together.
So agenda for change stuff. Obviously, we have mapped all of the competencies in the self-assessment tool. So there is a different tab in there, which is a role profiling one. So as you're completing it, what it then shows you is how the competencies map to the 16 characteristics under the admin and clerical section of Agenda for Change. And obviously, I know this isn't great for local authority guys, but it's useful for us, etc. And also these high level. Most people aren't aware of this yet, but the changes have been approved for changes to happen now in ESR, and the information standard notice is about to go out, and that is the high level groupings changing under DDAT to ESR. So people will the actions will start coming out for those things that to be changed in the system, and for then organizations to start mapping their people into data and analytics, into digital, into etc. For the very first time.
I really like that, the flip side that they're done locally on so adding things together and seeing what the team profile is, because then they can see where maybe some of the gaps are. And I would like the tool, just from my perspective, just to be able to, I'd go in, I'll say, I'll pick it, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this, and I do this to these levels. What am I? Just tell me what I'm today. And then it'll go big question mark. And I'll go, maybe I don't belong here. But yes, okay. Well, we've just tipped over time, and that's been really enjoyable and very informative. And I think I'm really excited. I maintain that level of excitement about the usefulness of the National Competency Framework for individuals, teams, organisations, and more. And if there's anything more we can do to help support and promote this, then just say. I mean, you'll be back. Let's face it, you'll be back. I just realised you said you had a meeting at 12. This is really mean of me. Okay, bye, and I will see everybody in 2 weeks. See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.